Welcome students. Today's class is the continuation of the unit Social Institutions. In earlier classes, we have been studying different institutions like family, kinship and marriage, and then religion as a form of social institution. In this class, I am going to explain to you how the political system could be called as an important social institution. In this class, first I will give an introduction to political institutions, then I will explain to you the functions and different types of power, and finally we will talk about some classifications of political systems. Every individual is a citizen of a nation. Every nation has evolved from a political evolution. Willingly or not, the individual has to abide by the directions shown to him by the power of his state. Power is a significant part of political institutions. The coordination of social activity through norms and rules is essential to reach goals with minimum conflicts. The state as an institution exercises its power over its citizens. Political systems are found in all forms of societies. Ancient societies like the Greece, Rome and India have a rich legacy of ancient political system. In tribal societies, the elders, the shamans and the chieftains were the political authorities. They exercised all these powers together. In the modern world, the political system is of various types and also they are complex in nature. The state is a form of political entity. The state is organized under an agency of government that claims legitimate sovereignty over a specified geographic area and has a monopoly of physical force. The government exercises its political authority through institutions at the national, state and local levels. While the government is a power exercising body, the nation is an autonomous group of politically organized people associated with a particular territory. The government is the agency of the state and a complex legal system possessing the power to carry out the functions of the state. The government has three distinct components, namely legislature, executive and judiciary. The legislature is responsible for enacting laws that govern the behavior of the people and functioning of institutions. The executive components formulate policies and programs and administer the country in accordance with law. The judiciary unit interprets laws and safeguards the rights of the citizens. We will see some of the functions of the state. The state has innumerable functions to perform. The major functions are social control, defense and welfare. The first one is social control. The state alone has the authority to enact and enforce law. The law affects almost every type of social behavior, starting from registering birth, marriage and death or registration of property at the personal level up to the payment of tax to the government at the level of economic and social level. Law also prohibits certain types of behavior. The police and the court are responsible for social control. Law makes individuals a law-abiding citizens. The second one is defense. The state is responsible to protect its citizens from external aggressions. Nations maintain an army for this purpose. Soldiers are trained and equipped for defense of the nation. Defense is the primary function of the state or the government. The third function is welfare. The important responsibility of the state is to initiate policies and programs for the welfare of the people. Welfare measures may be to improve health, education, employment or irrigation. Promotion of social justice and cultural development are the goals of welfare schemes. All nations spend huge amount of money on welfare programs for the sake of national progress and economic stability. Now, I will explain few types of power, the legitimate and illegitimate. First, I will explain to you the illegitimate power. Illegitimate power is the control that is being exercised over people who do not recognize the right of those who exercise the power to do so. Weber referred to the use of such power as coercion. The illegitimate power is used to employ the threat of force in order to maintain obedience in the society. On the other hand, legitimate power is exercised over people with their consent. They believe that those who exercise the power have the right to do so. Let me give you an example for illegitimate power. Sometimes in rural areas, the local leaders, in Tamil we call the Natamai or the Zamindars, exercise lot of power over the people, and also sometimes the religious leaders exercise a good power over their followers. Even in joint families, the eldest male members exercise unwieldy power over the members of the family. In the case of legitimate power, the police force exercises lot of power over the citizens, which is accepted by them as legitimate. There are at least two kinds of legitimate power. One is influence. It is the ability to control others' behavior through persuasion rather than coercion or authority. This happens in the family. In all forms of family, be it joint family or nuclear family, the parents always exercise a control over their children. We cannot even call it a big control, but they always try to influence the behavior of their children. The second type of legitimate power is authority. This kind of legitimate authority is institutionalized in organizations. When authority exists, people grant others the right to command and that they themselves have a duty to obey. Authority is essential to the state and to all bureaucratic institutions. Next is the concept of sovereignty. The concept of sovereignty is implied in the word state. Each nation state is a sovereignty in the sense that no other higher power could control it. In practice, the idea of sovereignty is partially fictional because each country must consider the reactions of other nations in the matters of international issues and is thereby somewhat restrained. When the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, it violated the sovereignty of another country and also offended and threatened many other Muslim states. Now, we will study some classifications of political system. Aristotle introduced a six-fold classification of political system. They are kingship or monarchy and tyranny, which means rule by one person. 2. Aristocracy and oligarchy, rule by a few persons. Thirdly, polity and democracy, rule by many. Different types of political organizations like monarchy, dictatorship, totalitarian government, republic or democracy emerged when the societies passed through various stages. The changes took place over a period of time in the history of every society. The political organizations may be classified under four broad categories. They are autocracy, totalitarianism, democracy and the welfare state. First, autocracy. Autocracy is a form of government in which ultimate authority resides in one person, that is the autocrat, who occupies the top position in the hierarchy of power. The autocrat may be a monarch who inherited the position or a dictator who captured the power. The autocrat is not accountable for his actions to his subordinates or subjects. Military dictatorships and monarchies are examples of autocracies. Louis IV in France and Catherine II in Russia may be quoted as examples for monarchs. The second type is totalitarianism or dictatorship. In this form of political system, power is usually vested in a party or a group of ruling elites rather than on a single individual. Totalitarian state controls and regulates every aspect of lives of the citizens. It arbitrarily decides what is best for its citizens. It also controls access to media and other sources of information and also denies people's right to assemble for political participation and enforces strict conformity not only to state policies, but also their political ideology. Coming of dictatorship is usually abrupt. When crisis occurs and legality cannot be restored, dictatorship appears. There is no definite law to follow in dictatorship. Some essential features of dictatorship are: 1. Totalitarian government dictates people that they are all within the state, none outside the state and none against the state. 2. One man rule or one party rule. 3. No civil, economic and political liberty to be enjoyed by the people. 4. It is based on fear and force. 5. Often it stands for purity of race, religion or culture. 6. Absence of free and independent press. And 7. Aims for the welfare of the people are very few. For example, Soviet Union under Stalin and Nazi Germany. If you analyze, all the features of dictatorship will be found under the Nazi government of Hitler. Another example is Taliban regime, where power is concentrated in the hands of a small group, also resembles totalitarian state. Next is democracy. Democracy is often said to be the most civilized form of political system. The term democracy is derived from two Greek words, demos means people and kratia means the power. In democracy, power is vested on the people as a whole. People elect their representatives to form a government on their behalf. The representatives are elected by adult citizens for a period of 4 or 5 years. Elected officials formulate the budget, policies and programs and also carry out these tasks through a network of appointed officials. The Indian government is a good example for democracy. The effectiveness of democracy depends on an enlightened electorate, and the people must be politically conscious and active in the democratic process. The definition of democracy. Abraham Lincoln has said that democracy is a government of the people, by the people and for the people. Gettel defines democracy as that form of government in which the mass of the population possess the right to exercise or to share the sovereign power. Basic principles of democracy. 1. Democracy guarantees all individuals the right to speak and criticize others. 2. It stands on the spirit of tolerance. 3. It is opposed to the use of power. 4. It upholds the dignity of humanity. 5. It is built on the foundation of liberty, equality and fraternity. 6. Democracy safeguards the rights of minorities. And 7. It assures everyone full justice by adhering to law. The next one is welfare state. The modern states of the contemporary world claim themselves to be welfare states. There is a lot of differential opinion regarding the definition and functions of the welfare state, but still the term welfare state is understood as an agency of social service than as an instrument of power. The main objective of the welfare state lies in the field of economy. It consists in the readjustment of incomes to provide for the less privileged or the deprived people, and it also tries to reduce the inequalities on the basis of income through taxation and strives to increase national production. Functions of welfare state. In the contemporary situation, all the modern states claim themselves as welfare states irrespective of different forms of government or political system like democratic, totalitarian, communist or autocratic. G.D.H. Cole says that the welfare state is a society in which an assured minimum standard of living and opportunity becomes the possession of every citizen. The welfare states perform certain functions to promote the well-being of the citizens. Some of the functions of welfare states. 1. The welfare state ensures internal peace and order and always provides security to its citizens. 2. It assures people's fundamental rights such as right to live, liberty, equality, right to property, freedom of thought and expression. It also gives priority to education of the people. 3. It tries to conserve the natural resources against the competitive private interests. 4. Welfare states make arrangements of public utility services like constructing roads, railways, water supply, irrigation, electricity, transportation and communication. 5. It shows interest in protecting old, poor and the handicapped by implementing social security measures. 6. It strives to promote social harmony and tries to prevent the process of social economic disorganization. These are some of the functions of welfare states. So far I have been explaining to you different types of power and different forms of governments. Whatever may be the government, the main aim of the government that has been established in a nation is to control people and regulate their behavior, so that there is no conflict within the state. That is why in sociology we consider political system as an important institution. Now I will make a sum up of this class. First I gave you an introduction to political system, then I explained to you the important functions of political systems, then I explained the types of power which included legitimate power and illegitimate power. Finally, I explained the classification of governments which includes autocracy, dictatorship, democracy and welfare state. I am going to ask you some questions. Question 1. What are the functions of state? 2. Explain different types of power and give examples. 3. Analyze different forms of government. Okay, students, this is what I have to explain under political system as a form of social institution. In the next class, we will see how and why we call education and economic system as social institutions. Till then, bye.